What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. I've been away for a couple days. It feels like it's been forever, but it's only been a couple days. I think we streamed Monday was the last one with Emo Cowboy and PPR Tyler. PPR Tyler is live right now with Emo Cowboy and Best Ball guy. So probably a bunch of people over there, but it is what it is. Dual streams is how she goes. We're going to dig into it pretty quick here. Free agency is pretty much wrapped up. There's obviously stuff trickling in. There will be for the throughout the summer, realistically. And then as we get into the draft, then there will be another wave. But there's still some talent out there, but we'll see what happens. And a lot of it might wait until the draft, or at least until we get closer to the draft. But we'll reassess that when the time comes. A couple chats. Stephen Hines, good day, OTS. Appreciate that. Good day to you. Jones let Dowdle go to the Panthers for $3 million. We better hope Williams stays healthy. Well, they're going to be drafting a running back quite high for sure. So, yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why I was not really in on Dowdle myself. We'll dig into that. We can look at my exposure. I'm pretty sure it's 0. I don't think I drafted him a single time because there was like 10 Rico Dowdles in the draft. So it really didn't make sense for anyone to pay him any substantial amount of money. And this $3 million guarantees nothing realistically. So, yeah, I would suggest probably don't be clicking Rico Dowdle from now on. Worst of it for me is I've been liking Hubbard like I did last year. Should still work out, but Jerry Jones is not a good GM. He's not necessarily a GM. He kind of just, obviously he's the owner. Stephen Jones does a lot of the GM type stuff. At least he's their cap guy. So Stephen Jones, his son, makes a lot of the decisions realistically. Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't have paid, $3 million. I probably would have kept Rico Dowdle, but maybe they just made their decision. So we're going to talk about some winners and some losers in free agency, and we're just kind of going to go in order. So let's talk about the losers since we're kind of bringing them up. The first one was Rico Dowdle. Maybe I'll go to my exposure and just see where I'm at on these guys while we do it instead of doing it this way. Let's do that. Let's go over to the exposures. And let's kind of talk about it that way. Let's get it updated. How many do I have again? 130 something or other. For some reason, it makes you just go back and forth a few times. 136. There we go. Okay. So you see Kenny Walker at the top there. I like that. So Rico Dowdle, I have 0. I'm not going to get any. Definitely a huge drop in value for him. He's going to be tucked in behind Chuba Hubbard. That's good news for Chuba Hubbard, but realistically, it's not a good free agent, free agent class for running backs outside of Najee. So it really does nothing for Chuba Hubbard's value. I guess you could, push him up a little bit. He definitely should be going ahead of Joe Mixon. I think he is already, and he should continue to go ahead of Joe Mixon. So we'll see what happens to Rico Dowdle, but I'm not clicking him. I haven't yet, and I won't start. That's for damn sure. And I would, I'd recommend you probably don't, if I'm being honest with you, but it's up to you. Gabe Davis was the next one on the list as one of the big losers. He's under contract. He's not going anywhere. They can't do anything about the money. So it is what it is. He's going to be on the Jaguars, but Diami Brown coming in basically replaces him completely. And it says a lot when they have Gabe Davis on the roster. They're paying him a lot of money, and then they bring in a better version potentially. But that's the one-to-one replacement. So I don't really expect Gabe Davis to do too much. I haven't clicked him, as you see, and I'm not going to start Diami Brown maybe at the end of drafts. But I would prefer obviously BTJ and then Parker Washington, Brenton Strange are my clicks if I'm picking Jags. I guess if you had to go Gabe Davis, sure, but I would probably avoid it if I'm being honest. So those are 2 so far. The next 2 would be Metcalf, obviously going to Pittsburgh. 9.6% I'm sitting at. I don't know how many drafts that is realistically. Probably a few of each. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to dig into it, but he definitely falls down the board. He's consistently falling to the mid 50s now. Wide receiver 25, which is fine. I think it hurts both of them. I think it hurts DK Metcalf, and I think it hurts George Pickens, 2.2%. So you're going to see, for me, the Metcalf exposure fall back even more. And again, like DK Metcalf and George Pickens are very, 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 very similar wide receivers. So, I mean, they had DK Metcalf at home. I don't know why they go out and get DK and pay him the money, but it tells you everything you need to know about how they feel about George Pickens. And it's either get in line and become a productive part of this, organization, or there's the door. And it's probably going to be the latter. So we'll see how it works out. But I mean, George Pickens has to fall as well. We talked about it a little bit on Monday with PPR Tyler and Emo Cowboys. So we could dig into it more, but definitely another big loser. And then for me, the whole offense, Justin Jefferson, that's a big downgrade for me. 2.9%, $33 overall. I'm lower. I have 0% Jordan Addison, so we could do that. 0% Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, one time in a big board, right? I'm just not drafting these guys. Naylor, 0. I'm just not drafting the Vikings offense now, especially now that I know JJ McCarthy is going to be the guy. If they bring in Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that does, a little bit for their value. It helps their value, in my opinion. But if it's JJ McCarthy, I'm going to be pretty out on Vikings players, pass catchers especially. We'll see what rookie they bring in as a running back in that offense. But if it's JJ McCarthy starting and they bring in some backup quarterback, I don't know who at this point, because it's getting pretty thin. I mean, they supposedly like Rick Rippon a lot, but you can't say that that's going to be your backup quarterback. So I don't really know who's left realistically that can make a dent. I mean, Jameis, that's about it, or a rookie, but you're not doing that with JJ McCarthy. So I don't really know what they do. It's basically either Aaron Rodgers or they just roll with what they have. So I don't know. It depends on the health of JJ McCarthy. We'll see. But either way, for me, it doesn't look fantastic for Vikings offensive players. So I'm going to be pulling back, and I've not been drafting them, and I'm going to continue to not draft them. So let's talk about some winners. Josh Palmer, big winner. 2.9%. I need to bump that up and try to get it up before he rises or as he rises. Plus, need to mix it in a little bit with Josh Allen. So, 3-year deal, $36 million. That's your deep threat. Josh Allen can throw a deep ball. He throws a really nice deep ball. Look at what Stephon Diggs did as the deep ball threat, right? So that could be Josh Palmer. Not one-for-one stats. I'm not saying Josh Palmer could have the stats of Stephon Diggs or is close to the talent of Stephon Diggs. Not what I'm saying. But he could have some serious spike weeks and be basically double what Mac Hollins was last year, is kind of what I'm thinking is possible for Palmer. So he's definitely on the table. Justin Fields, 18.4%, feels really nice, $428. So I must have him in some higher dollar value tournaments. That feels really nice. Especially with where I was getting him at the time, mostly as my quarterback 3, sometimes QB2, but mostly quarterback 3. Like I said many times, I want to be done drafting quarterbacks by about the Justin Fields range. Now he's going to shoot up to probably the 120s ish. We'll dig into it when we get into a draft maybe, but that feels nice. I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue to add as I can. Jeremy Ruckert, could be a sleeper. I've drafted him twice. He's a guy who's probably going to be the starting tight end now with the Jets. Conklin's still a free agent, so he definitely gets a boost. Hopkins, drafted him twice, looks like 2 big boards. Now with Baltimore, it's a good landing spot, so that works out. He definitely gets a little bit of a bump. Mike Gesicki, $322, 20%. I'm happy with that. He absolutely gets a bump. He's back with the Bengals. That's a great landing spot. Works for me. Let's talk about Freiermuth. I think with adding these the 2 wide receivers, with adding DK with Pickens over there, there's going to be just a ton of underneath stuff, in my opinion, for Pat Freiermuth. So Yeah, I'm going to continue to pick him off. 8.8%, $92. So I'm going to continue to pick off some shares as much as I can with where he goes. It's a great value for tight ends, great range for tight ends. It's Komet, Fryermuth, and there's one other guy, I can't remember off the top of my head, that goes in that tight end range where you could have your tight end 2, potentially your tight end 3 even, and then be wrapped up from there. I'm more drafting my tight end 2 in that range. So one of those 3 guys, and Fryermuth is definitely on my list. Christian Kirk, I have not drafted enough at all. So I'd like to pick off some more of that with CJ Stroud if you can. Sometimes you can get them at the turn, the 8-9 or 9-10 turn. Can't remember which one, but then you can stack both and then bring back a Dalton Schultz late in the draft. So he's a guy that gets a bump. Parker Washington, absolutely. I don't think there's a lot of chatter about Cooper Kupp. Obviously, the link with Liam Cohen, I get it. He's a free agent now. But I just don't think it makes sense for them to spend that money on Cooper Kupp when they're not that close. And Parker Washington can, he's part of their, present and future. So he can definitely get the job done. I don't know why you would bring in Cooper Kupp and then just kind of forget about Parker Washington. So I'm still drafting him like he's going to be the starting slot receiver there. And that's a really good spot to be in my opinion. So I'm going to try to be at least, 15%. I want to bump this number up. That's for sure. So I'm going to focus on that. Same thing with Brenton Strange. I need to bump that up, but I must have him in a higher dollar value, $329. That's nice, 8.1%. He definitely gets a bump in my books. Tony Pollard gets a bump. The 2 offensive linemen that came in there basically wraps up their offensive line. He absolutely gets a bump for me. Should definitely go ahead of Jaylen Warren. They're going to bring in some competition for sure for Jaylen Warren. Najee is going to be going around this Tony Pollard range. I think that's kind of where he should be going, maybe even a little bit higher. But we'll see. Either way, I really like Tony Pollard. I give him a nice bump. So that's what's another guy that I'm kind of looking at drafting a little bit more of. Evan Ingram obviously goes to the Denver Broncos. I've only drafted him in a couple little boards. I need to keep picking off some shares, and I will. Easy, ish to stack with Bo Nix. So that's obviously what you want to focus on. Najee, 17% feels really nice. $664 feels very, very nice with the nuts landing spot with the Chargers. Obviously, he's going to skyrocket up the board. We'll take a look when we get into a draft where we think he's going to start to go, but up in that Tony Pollard range and potentially higher. So I'm happy with the shares that I have at the ADPs that I have them at, but I'm still going to continue to draft Najee Harris. That's for damn sure. Tyrone Tracy gets a bump for me, small bump. I'm still not taking him. Like Tyrone Tracy falls below Tony Pollard and Najee Harris, no question. So I'm not taking him kind of at ADP, but if he falls and as he falls, I'll start picking off some shares. I do think they add in the draft for sure. But if he's able to avoid a Najee Harris and they have no interest in J.K. Dobbins, no interest in Javonte Williams, that sort of a thing, then I think his role is relatively safe for what he does and what he can do in that offense. So I think he gets a small bump, and I'm going to start to pick off a few shares, nothing crazy, but just a couple shares. And then there's some other guys, but I don't know if we really need to talk about it yet. We'll get into a draft. We'll talk about it more there. But the next one would be the entire Bears offense. The entire Bears offense gets a massive bump for me. I'm going to continue to focus on drafting Bears. Let's take a look at my exposure. 18%, $719 for Caleb feels very, very comfortable. Odunze, I know I have a ton of, 24%. He's one of my highest owned, super high on Odunze, but DJ Moore is the guy I need to get more of. I need to force him into my lineups and then try to double stack with not just Odunze, but purposefully pass on Odunze and bring in Cole Kmet with Caleb Williams and kind of even out that threesome exposure with the pass catchers in Chicago. So I just put a pretty hefty bet, $250 on basically the Chicago Bears to win the division this year. I think they're going to be an absolute wagon. I'm very excited to watch the Bears play football, and whoever the rookie, running back is that goes to the Chicago Bears, it's fucking wheels way up for that running back, whoever it's going to be, whether it's Judkins, even if it's Genty, I'm really going to be hurting on that one. But if it's Judkins, Henderson, Hampton, one of those guys, then it is absolutely to the moon for those guys. Candyman, what's happening? Fantasy Football Garage, good to see you. I got 0 Jefferson, 0 Pickens, 1 Metcalf pick. Did something right. There you go. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what you want to be. I think that's a little even less than me, but I will click them. It's just a matter of if it makes sense. So let's jump into, I'm not going to get into a little board because I only have 5 left and I want to get a little closer to when it fills. I'm not in a rush. We're not going to do a little board, but we'll jump into a big board. Let's jump in. Waiting on 11, just filled. Hopefully you didn't get into the early one. Yeah, appreciate it. If you're just jumping in the chat or you're watching it back later, hit the subscribe button. We're 35 away from 500. I got to think about scheduling in the 12-hour stream and looking into guests and all that kind of thing because we're plowing through it and getting closer and closer by the day. Hit that like button if you're just popping in. Obviously helps push out the content. And yeah, I put in a lot of work, as Steven just said. So hopefully you appreciate it. Hopefully it works for you. Hopefully it makes sense. Don't just listen to anything I say. That's for sure. Doesn't mean I'm right. So yeah, but I always say my claim to fame would be I'm more right than I am wrong, I guess. So hopefully most people are, but we'll see what happens this year. I'm pretty excited to get this season going. Still waiting on 11. Geez. The rooms are slower to fill these days, I've noticed. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. Obviously, all the sickos have drafted all their teams already for the most part. So the rooms are different. They are different. They're a little bit interesting now that, again, all the sickos have filled for the most part. I still have about 65 or so bullets. So I'm trying to stay relatively close to pace. Plus, if I do a 12-hour live stream, I want to have something to do. So we're going to have to, we got to save some bullets for the live stream and with the guests and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise we just, I can't just be talking for 12 hours without doing anything. So I got to save some bullets for that regardless, but I'm happy to stay, at pace and, not push it. I really don't think there's an insane amount of volume or value right now. But let's look at some of the ADPs that we're talking about. Putt Daddy, what's happening? Appreciate that, man. What game are you watching? I wish I still had enough time. College basketball was my love, my first love, if you will. I was a huge college basketball fan for a long time. I've kind of fallen off. There was one point in my life where you could pull up any NBA team, every NBA team. I could go through all 32 NBA teams, and I could tell you at least like 8 or 10 of the players on the roster where they went to college, at least. And now it's like, now I have no idea. But yeah, I used to be a huge college basketball fan. It's just tough to keep up now with it's the conference tournaments, right? Right before the conference tournaments are honestly the tournament is awesome too, but the conference tournaments are fantastic as well. So yeah, enjoy that. Hopefully hopefully you can pop back and forth, but yeah, I miss watching that much college basketball. It's still the superior game for me over NBA. I would much rather watch college basketball than the NBA. Just pop it into the chat. We got 4 left if you want to draft. And let's talk about, like I said, let's talk about some of these ADPs. So let's start with Najee because he's going to be the biggest riser. ADP 91 right now. I wonder what it's going to be tomorrow because it's usually, I'm not sure exactly the time that they update ADPs, but whenever it is, he's going to rise. Like I said, I think Pollard should be going ahead of Warren as well, but Najee will go ahead of Pollard, Warren, Aaron Jones, Tyrone Tracy. Like realistically, he's got to fall somewhere around here. Even James Conner, in a vacuum, give me Najee over James Conner, no question. No question. But with Judkins there, like that's the click. And eventually I'm sure he'll be getting ahead of Connor and Caleb Johnson. So I don't know about David Montgomery, though. I don't know if he can get that high. The 5 spot now. Got a couple guys in the chat, I think. We definitely have. I've drafted with P-Punch a few times lately. Don't know who it is, but I've drafted them a few times. Champ X3, that's Stephen Hines in the chat. Appreciate you. Cavalman, I've definitely drafted with a lot. I don't know who it is, but I've drafted with them a lot. If you're in the chat and you're drafting, let me know if you want. You can lurk if you want, but if you want your team reviewed, just let me know. The other thing that I've noticed is I really, really, really want to be top 6. I really want to be top 6. So I'm happy to be 5. I'll take whatever guy, makes the most sense. But I'm really, really, really happy to be top 6 right now, or give me the 12. Either top 6 or give me the 12 pick is really where I want to be, or 11 realistically, because then you get one of these wide receivers and then your pick of kind of whoever you want in the second round. You could pull up whoever you want, sort of thing. So 11, 12, it's either top 6 or 11 or 12. That 7, 8, 9, 10, those are by far the worst picks for me. Sorry, champ, but that's my opinion. I guess, the winner could come out of there easily. Amon-Ra's there, so I do like Amon-Ra, but I don't want my exposure to just get through the roof of Amon-Ra. So we'll see how it works out, but I really want to be top 6. It's just the easiest click that you can get. And I'm going to take one of these running backs. Doesn't really matter whoever's there, that's who I'm going to take, the other guy. So don't really care who he takes. I'd like to keep my CeeDee Lamb exposure right at or above 20%. So I'm at 19 right now. Doesn't mean I'm going to pull him up. That's for sure. But wow, Amon-Ra gets pulled up to 4. I've said I'll take Barkley at the 5 spots. Let's take Barkley over Bijan. But yeah, you agree the 7, 8, 9, 10 are not the best spot to be, I'm assuming. So Najee, I think that's where he's going to go. I think that's where it makes the most sense. Honestly, in a vacuum, like give me Najee over Joe Mixon. And that's not just the hate talking. That's not just the Joe Mixon hate talking. Like that, his ADP makes less than 0 sense to me. Like people complain about Chase Brown being where he is and even Bucky Irving, but like Joe Mixon as a top 50 overall player, I just don't see it personally, especially with the hits on the offensive line that they've just seen. Supposedly it was super dysfunctional, and I get it, but like give me Chuba over Mixon, give me Hampton over Mixon, give me Kamara over Mixon, give me Kenny Walker, give me Henderson. Like Montgomery is where it gets close, and Montgomery is just an odd one. It's just taking the like consistent points that you're going to get out of a kind of goal line-ish back in a fantastic offense. So I think Connor should fall below Najee. So yeah, I guess RB 24, 23 above Caleb Johnson is kind of where he should end up. So right around pick 70-ish. So 20 spots of value, I think, is where he's at right now. I think. I for sure could be wrong on that, but that's my thoughts as we sit right now. And then, like I said, Pollard, I think, jumps up. Let's pull this list out again so I know what to look at. I think Pollard jumps up over Warren. I'm taking him over Aaron Jones. And that's about it. So he's only got a couple spots to jump. Nothing major ADP wise. But he gets a bit of a bump for me. We'll see who the Pittsburgh Steelers bring in the draft. And I still think Ollie Gordon is entirely on the table to be that guy. But we'll see. Wow, Saquon I've got paired up with all these guys somehow. Interesting. I'm going to bring in JSN. Let's bring Jackson Smith and Jigba here. And see who falls to me. It's weird that he's rising now. Like I'm a little, I thought he might drop with Sam Darnold coming in, but obviously that's not the case. So 22 for Jonathan Taylor, I think, is highway robbery. So that's a nice, easy click right there. That's going to be close, but I might do that. Yeah, so we'll see about Palmer, where does Josh Palmer rise up to? He's starting to go in like the 190s-ish. Where's his ADP? 211 still. I got him, in the 200s earlier today. I wouldn't bank on that. Like if you want Josh Palmer, I would just take him in the 18th round probably. That's I was saying it a couple weeks ago, right? After the combine, is like, if you think he's an 18th round pick and he goes in the 20th, take him in the 18th. If it's an 18 round draft and you think he's a click, then take him in the 18th, take him in the 17th, take him in the fucking 16th. I don't care. Just, get your guys. So he's going to rise. Absolutely. It's either going to be one of these two. Whichever one is there. Breece Hall's a good click here too, but my bag's pretty packed. Well, DJ Moore goes, okay. Let's go Terry McLaurin. Yeah, I'm going to probably anchor Barkley. It's just leaves the door wide open for things you can do. It's a lot like taking an early quarterback, whatever. So, yeah, who does he go ahead of? Like all of these guys, easy. So Douglas, I would probably say give me Palmer, just because he has that 152 touchdown ceiling with the deep ball. I don't think you could ever get that. Even let's say 100 yards and a touchdown. Does Demario Douglas realistically have that in his arsenal? It's pretty few and far between, where like Palmer could do that in like 3 catches, right? Douglas is going to need a lot more volume to do that sort of thing. Yes, it would be more overall points given more catches, touchdown, yards. I get it, but Palmer could do that in 2 catches, 3 catches. So I think he should be going ahead of Douglas. Whittington has continued to just completely nosedive, which he absolutely should. He's not even really draftable right now, to be honest. I'm not drafting him at all. He's off my board. Wandale, he should go ahead of. Like, he's right there with Alec Pierce, realistically. Like, that's Josh Palmer. Yeah, so 170 even. You're getting like 40 picks of ADP value on Josh Palmer potentially, depending on when you get him or where you get him. Yeah. That's kind of where you should go. We'll see. That's where you should rise to. Warren, Freiermuth. Who are those 3 tight ends going right around Freiermuth? Otten. Kate Otten, Freiermuth, Cole Kmet. I kind of want one of those 3 to be my tight end 2. And then bring up one of these, Gesicki, a rookie, Juwan Johnson, Noah Gray, whatever. There's lots of options here for your tight end 3. So I'd like to have one before these 3, and then at worst have one of those 3 as my tight end 2. And then you can kind of take it from there. I just don't think it makes sense to go elite tight end this year at all. So we'll see. But those are the kind of the 3. I don't think they really move. Like, I guess maybe Freiermuth gets ahead of Otten, but why? I mean, they're the same player more or less. So yeah, we'll see how that kind of irons itself out. I was obviously hoping Jaden Daniels would fall to me, but that's pretty unlikely. It's very wishful thinking. Let's go Zay. Let's go Zay Flowers. Yeah. Yeah, let's go Zay Flowers. That makes the most sense to me. Hopkins does nothing to hurt his value, that's for sure. Doesn't hurt it at all. You could say it helps it even. So not worried about that. And I want to make sure I have enough Zay Flowers with and without Lamar Jackson. Who else do we have here? Parker Washington. I mean, I think it's a ton of value if you can get him in the 20th round, which you can. Like, I think that's an auto click. Yeah, if they bring in Cooper Kupp, obviously it hurts them a ton. I don't really think they draft a guy to come in and replace him. Like, we saw what he can do last year. We saw his ceiling. I really don't think it makes a lot of sense. So I think he should be rising, but we'll see. Brenton Strange has been kind of flying up boards too, which is fine. That does make sense. Where is he going now? 193 is up to. Creeping up on Gesicki. Like, he should not go ahead of Gesicki. So I guess that's where he's going to land. I think that's where he stays. Maybe we see Hunter Henry fall back. But I mean, the consistency's just been there for Henry, so I don't think he should. I think that might be where it just stays with all of these tight ends. I don't see any real risers. I mean, Evan Ingram will rise, but beyond that, I don't see much. Let's bring in. Let's bring in, definitely going to be a wide receiver. Let's do Chris Olave. I just need a little bit more. I don't want to go overboard, but I don't want to fade him as much as I was. What am I up to? Probably like 5%. Yeah, 4%. So I'm definitely behind on Olave, and I don't want to completely fade him now that Kellen Moore is there and we know that Derek Carr is staying. I don't like Derek Carr. I don't think Chris Olave likes Derek Carr. You know, he's sewered him a few times and led to a couple concussions, which is not very fun when your quarterback just sues you out there. But he can throw the ball, and hopefully Kellen Moore can scheme it up and protect him a little bit better. We'll see. At the end of the day, Chris Olave is, head and shoulders the best wide receiver for the Saints. Their offensive line is still reasonable, I suppose. And the biggest thing is Kellen Moore's, his offense is extremely fast paced and a lot of plays. They run a lot of plays. So he's going to be out there. He's going to be running routes. He's going to be getting targets. I got to get a little more exposure to him. Yeah, that's kind of all I'm doing here with Chris Olave. I need a little more exposure, and I need to kind of force it in. But it makes sense where I got him, so I'm happy to take him there. That was the Brenton Strange talk. Evan Ingram, yeah, he's going to be the only one that really rises from this group. Like Ferguson, Pitts, Auden, no one's rising from here. They're all pretty much going to stay in that order, I'd imagine, or at least extremely close to it. And they really should. It doesn't make sense for them to move. But Evan Ingram should probably bump up over Isaiah Likely, at least until we see something with Mark Andrews. He probably rises above Dalton Kincaid with Dawson Knox still there. He should definitely rise ahead of, Dallas Goedert, in my opinion. I would be taking him over Colston Loveland for sure. He's right there with Tucker Kraft, I would say. I'm pretty high on Tucker Kraft. I think Njoku should fall. So I guess Tucker Kraft and Evan Ingram should be going ahead of Njoku, I believe. So you're getting at least 20 picks ADP on Evan Ingram right now, I think. At least I am. I think I am. And that's pretty much where I would be taking him. Let's bring in one of these two rookie running backs. I don't particularly care which one it is. I need more Judkins, but at the same time, looking at my exposures, it's Henderson here. Plus a little bit ADP value. So if you give me that value on Henderson, I'm going to take it. Everyone knows he's my guy. So there you go. Let's get him. So I guess this is kind of the Najee range. Do I take him? I don't know. I don't know if it really makes sense to take him with the roster that I have that I've been building so far. I don't think it makes sense. But we'll see. This should be the range. I would be fine to bring up Najee to right here. And maybe it does make sense. I might do it. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Myers could make some sense here for me. Ibuka could always make some sense. I do want to start clicking a little bit of Tyrone Tracy. Caleb Johnson, yeah, is going to continue to fall, which he should. So I probably won't be clicking him until, I don't know. He's got to fall to this Pollard, Warren range, realistically. And I'm probably taking both over him at this stage. But we'll see where that kind of lands. Golden, I do like. Ayuk, I'm pretty soft on. Pearsall's a good click here. Tough Cat took Judkins. He's the one who brought up Amon-Ra with Tyreek. Takes Caleb. I am going to bring up Najee. Just because I don't really need to force in a wide receiver here. I don't love the range specifically. No tight ends to take. Like I could take Bo Nix, I suppose, but let's just bring up Najee because I do think he should be going this range anyways. So let's just do that. Try to get ahead of the curve a little bit. Like, give me Najee over Caleb Johnson for sure. Give me Najee over Tyrone Tracy, over Aaron Jones, over Jaylen Warren. Yeah, we'll see. Who else do we have on the board here? Jaden Daniels, I give a bit of a bump to. With obviously Deebo Samuel coming in. And then that really hurts Luke McCaffrey. Obviously, he wasn't much to like, but he was like a 20th round click. If you missed on everybody else with the Commanders, you had Jaden Daniels. Then yeah, you could go ahead and click Luke McCaffrey, and I did a few times, and he's going to be on the team, so sure, why not? But realistically, he's not. KJ Osborne comes back too, so. That's whatever. That doesn't really change anything. Actually, Noah Brown came back to the Commanders. They lost Zacchaeus, which is fine. He goes to the Bears. But Noah Brown coming back, KJ Osborne coming back, that basically rounds out their wide receiver room. That's 1 through 5. Maybe they probably bring in a rookie at some point in the draft, undrafted, whatever. But yeah, I think Jaden Daniels gets a bump. Obviously, Laramie Tunsil, the trade coming in, that helps. Offensive line definitely helps, obviously. It's a big reason why I'm so high on the Bears this year, because that offensive line is just a bunch of maulers. And now the defensive line as well, with Grady Jarrett coming in. That's a phenomenal grab for them. Grady Jarrett is a beast, an absolute beast, and just a fantastic leader too. So definitely like Grady Jarrett. Always have. Tyrone Tracy, that's a good click at 83 for sure. Isaiah Pacheco, I can't get behind bringing up at 87. Could be entirely on the table that the Chiefs take a running back at the back end of the first round. They've done it before. They could definitely use, like, Elijah Mitchell doesn't do anything for the future for them. They still are going to draft a running back for sure. It's just a matter of when. But I think that it's pretty wide open for what they can do the defense and potentially, offensive line, left guard. They brought in free agent left tackle. They should be okay there. But, wide receivers on the board, running back, somewhere on the defense. So they have a ton of options realistically. Tons of options. All right. Where are we going here? Jaylen Warren's still on the board. Not going there. Not going with running back. But I do, we'll talk about that in a second. I probably would have taken Golden there. I probably would have taken Golden. Let's do Darnell Mooney because I have 0 of him. And there's really no reason for it. So let's go Darnell Mooney. I do want to even more so, and I think I do prioritize running back, but I've been saying it for a little while now. The value is only wide receiver and tight end. That's the only value in on draft boards right now. Unless there's I guess Derek Carr could be a value. Cousins, if he ends up starting, could be a value. Wilson, if he's starting, could be a value. Those cheap quarterbacks. If you're getting a starting quarterback in the 20th round, yeah, that's a value, right? But beyond that, realistically, it's wide receiver and tight end. So I want to be done picking running backs. Like the last running back, I'm really comfortable. I like guys like Jarquez. I like to get a couple, Taj Brooks, Jaden Blue, my guy Jarquez, like I just said. Who else? That's pretty much it down here. I do have a couple shares, and I like getting a couple shares, and that's fine. Antonio Gibson, LaQuint Allen, I'm happy to be at these percentages. That's all fine and good. Audric Estime, I'm fine with where I'm at, but I don't want to get, push it anymore. But I want to be done. My last click realistically is Damian Martinez. That's kind of my last click that I want at running back for typically my 6th, if not my 5th for sure. I want to be done by Damian Martinez. Braylon Allen, Ollie Gordon, DJ Giddens, Garendo, these guys, I'm all fine with clicking them. But beyond that, I don't want to get too deep into it and need running backs because it's just not a good spot to be, in my opinion. It's not where I want to be. So I really want to be done running back relatively early where it's still kind of comfortable, Mark Andrews is falling, and I don't really know why. If he's still on the Ravens, honestly, I think he probably will stay on the Ravens. I don't want to click him. I just don't want to click Mark Andrews in this draft. Let's go Tyler Warren. I don't have Warren ranked ahead of him whatsoever. And typically you should just draft good players, but I don't want Mark Andrews in this build. I just don't. So it is what it is. I'm going to have to pass on him. Yeah. And I hate this range for wide receiver. I guess I could have went Mims, could have brought up Travis Hunter, I suppose. I don't like ETN. I don't want to pair Charbonnet with Jackson Smith and Jigba specifically, but I do need more Charbonnet, that's for sure. Yeah, not clicking in Njoku, 1%. So I clicked them one time. Thought about bringing up a quarterback, but I don't need to force that, in my opinion. So let's just keep on keeping on and see what transpires here. And then Mark Andrews goes the next pick. Tons of value there. So nice click. Nice click. If you're just popping in, smack the like for me. If you like the content, hit the subscribe button. We're 35 subs away, 465 of 500, 35 subs away from ripping a 12-hour live stream, which would be a lot of fun. And I want to do it before big board season closes. Otherwise, we'll have nothing to do. If it does, I guess then I'll push it to Best Ball Mania season. But we need to get it before the NFL draft. NFL draft is about a month away. 1 subscriber a day basically is what that equals. And we get there. So if we get there by the NFL draft, I'll do it. If we have to push the stream to Best Ball Mania season, we will, which is like a week later. So not a big deal. Not a big deal. But we will wait until the schedules dropped, however. I don't draft Best Ball Mania. I might draft some other stuff, the puppy one. I might draft before the schedules drop, but I'm not drafting Best Ball Mania before the NFL schedule is released. That's just kind of a fact of what's going to happen. Kirk was my guy. Kirk was going to be the guy there, but let's just bring in. Do I want to do Mims? Let's just continue down the rookie path. I'm going to bring in Trey Harris, who I have a ton of. Actually, no, we're doing Drake May. I need a quarterback. Let's do Drake May. Yeah, that's how that's going to go. I can still get potentially Trey Harris at 125, but I don't need him there. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I need a little more Drake May, but I'm happy to get that, happy when this team is done being built. I think it'll make a lot of sense. I have a plan. We'll see if it works out. We'll see if it's a good plan, but I do have a plan on what I want to do with this team. So I probably should not have taken Tyler Warren actually, but that's okay. I'm going to have to adjust a little bit, which is not a big deal. Not a big deal. Yeah, this is going to get a little interesting. So if Trey Harris is there, I will take him. If not, I mean, I'll take Marvin Mims if he's still there. Cam Scatabo could make some sense here. Trey Harris makes some sense. There goes Scatabo. Not taking quarterbacks at this juncture. Not taking tight end. So we'll take one of these two. Do I just take the value on Mims or do I take the unknown on Harris? Probably take Harris here, a rookie. I need a little bit of more, rookie action because it's not going to be that way later in the draft. So let's do Trey Harris here over Mims. Yeah, I think Mims is relatively capped, whereas obviously a rookie and an unknown Trey Harris is not saying he's uncapped and he has like a limitless ceiling, but I think we know for the most part what Marvin Mims can be. He could take a bit of a step forward this year, 700 yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns, maybe something like that. But Trey Harris could be 1,008, something like that with the right landing spot. So I'd rather take that unknown when I have some more known commodities. I probably should have taken Jaylen Warren right here, actually, over Darnell Mooney. I think I should have done that. That would have made more sense with what I'm going to be trying to do later. So, but that's all right. We can easily catch up. Not a big deal. Nothing. We don't need to force anything with this roster. It's going to be a different one. It's going to be interesting. And I've been doing these kinds of strategies and builds. I've been trying to do more of it. And again, we'll talk about it when it's done. But I've been trying to get a few exposures to this type of a strategy. We'll go over a couple teams at the end here. We'll go over obviously mine, Champ X3 we'll go over. If you're in the chat, like I said, and you want your team review, just let me know and we can take a look at it. But yeah, I think it could work. It's going to be an interesting build, I think. Jalen Coker gets brought up a little bit. That's interesting. Evan Ingram. Honestly, that's probably a value on Ingram. Yeah, 10 picks. I think he's going to rise higher than that, I believe. We're going to take a look at a couple of these other teams too, actually, just because of the way I think these rooms are getting right now. They're absolutely softer, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? There's positives and negatives to a softer room. So we'll get into it again at the end after the draft is wrapped up here. But I do want to touch on it because it's absolutely happening right now, which is expected because all the sickos have already drafted. 121,000 entries already. So all of the real sick puppies have already drafted and maxed for the most part. So I'm happy to have as many bullets as I do. And we'll see. We'll see if it works out. But the rooms are no question softer. No question about it. Let's bring in Bashal Tootin. Makes a ton of sense. He's my guy. I want as much exposure as I can. And if I can get him to me, that's kind of a value. This Tough Cat guy has been just scooping up. Oh no, maybe not. Goblor and Tough Cat have been benefiting from some falling ADP that I'm giving. Justin Fields is probably the click there, but again, I have a plan. We will see if it works for me or not. I don't know if I like it or not, but I'm going to do it. And that's that. So I've kind of backed myself into it regardless. So let's make it happen. Let's just close our eyes and make it happen. 4 running backs. Yeah, we got some space. Oh yeah, we got some time to make this happen. Okay. So the pick is going to be a running back for sure. Let's see the combinations here. Wright, Ford, and Davis are the 3. The Miami Dolphins just brought in Alexander Madison, which changes absolutely nothing. The Buffalo Bills brought back Ty Johnson, so that kind of hurts Ray Davis a little bit. Definitely caps him. So let's bring in Jalen Wright. 14%. I'm okay to add a little bit, so let's bring him in. So I'm going to need one more running back, or am I? I could stop at 5, really. I might stop at 5. I think that's fine. With Barkley, obviously that opens the door. So let's just see how this plays out. I don't want to reach too much to kind of wrap up this weird strategy, but that might open the door to take another rookie wide receiver, which I think will make a fair amount of sense. Yeah, so I could bring in one more. I might do that. I'm just trying to do some counting in my head. Oh my God, never mind. Derek Carr was going to be my pick. That's what are we doing? The fuck are we doing here? Why would you take? Why? What are we doing? What in the world are we doing? Taking a naked Derek Carr, 50 picks ahead of ADP. Well, my whole strategy just kind of got fucked here, guys. So that's fun. I was obviously going to pair Derek Carr with my Chris Olave. So that's one of the negatives that can happen, but at the same time, like you kind of want that. So that's one of the negatives that can happen in these types of rooms where just absolute nonsense happens, where it makes no sense in the world. Interesting. I don't know what to really say about that. That's just kind of crazy. I'd rather be drafting with experienced drafters, if I'm being honest. It gets a little frustrating when you're trying to do stuff like that. And yeah, like do you really think Derek Carr is that good? Or I don't know. I'm interested in the reasoning behind that one. Just clicking buttons out there. I guess you have Jaden Reed with Jordan Love, although they both kind of fell into your lap, but interesting. M Greek 33. Derek Carr, 45 picks ahead of ADP, naked. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Steven, what's happening? Good evening to you. I just kind of got sniped twice by the same guy. Awesome. I'm not sure. Are you watching the stream and you think you knew what I was doing, or just both my quarterbacks got sniped for me from the same guy for no reason? No pairing, nothing. Well, I'm really screwed at quarterback a little bit. I really should have taken Fields when I could have. Let's just go Bryce Young, I guess. Wow. This is getting out of hand. So we're definitely going to talk about we're definitely going to talk about the madness of some of these rooms right now. It's just crazy. Which again, it's to be honest, I want it. I do want it. It's frustrating when it kind of screws you over when you're trying to do a certain build. It makes sense. Like I have to, like I got in Jigba where I got him, I got Olave where I got him, right at ADP, and then it's like, okay, now I can maneuver this a little bit. I don't have to force anything. I can get Drake May right at ADP, and work through that. But again, then it just kind of blows up in your face because people are clicking buttons out there. So that kind of really is just frustrating when it doesn't make sense. Like if this guy had, I don't know. The thing is, like, you can't even have anybody because I have the two, like, I have the receivers. Like, yeah, I guess you can bring them back with the back stack, stuff, but I don't know. I'm just going to bring in Geno now to try to round out my quarterback room all naked, which is sweet, but that's never how it was going to be. So now I got to try to piece this together, which I guess I still can, but it's really not how I want it to look whatsoever. Now I really hate my team and I have to stop at 5 running backs. I hate my team. I mean, just looking at the players, it's not horrible, but there's going to be zero correlation. So I'm just hopefully this team advances, which I doubt, but it is what it is. Like it still probably wouldn't have advanced, right? If I had Carr and Darnold, but at least I would have had the correlation that I would want if it did advance, right? So that was the point. That was the whole point. Yeah, but again, at the end of the day, like you want this sort of nonsense. You really do. It's just frustrating when it backfires on you and comes back to bite you in the ass. So, oh well, it is what it is. I'm gonna have to bring back some silliness. Did Hunter Henry grow? Why would Hunter Henry be drafted already? What are we doing? What is going on here? Why would you be drafting Hunter Henry at 165? Like, a round before ADP? Holy moly. Make it make sense. Make it make sense for me, guys. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. I'm just going to click some buttons till we're done. I don't know what to say. This one's a bit of a frustrating one. And we're definitely going to dig into this theory, not theory, just, how soft these rooms are right now. We're definitely going to talk about that. I don't even want to look at my team again. You see it. It sucks. I hate it. We'll take a look at Steven's draft when he's wrapped up. But yeah, frustration level is pretty high right now. Just not a lot of makes sense. Like, I know the rooms are soft and I know there's weird stuff, but if it makes sense, then I don't get mad. But if it's just random button clicking, that's where you tend to get a little frustrated. So whatever. The old 3-3-6-3 start, eh? Yeah. Yeah, might as well bring in a fourth tight end. Just deplete the rest of there's just madness going on here. Let's just bring in Demario Douglas, pair up with Drake May, get some sort of correlation with my quarterback. It's just going to be wide receiver, tight end. I can only go I have to go 3 tight ends with just Jalen Warren, especially with Mike Gesicki being gone. So I don't know. We'll see what we can get. I guess Jatavian Sanders, I suppose, is a click here. I'm a little leery with Tommy Tremble coming back. So I don't know about that. But I might still do it. I'm going to have to do 9 wide receivers to try to make it work. That's a huge fall for Dontavian Wicks. Wow. Yeah, why wouldn't you go with Wicks here? Whoever drafted Jordan Love, 30 whatever picks past ADP. Let's just bring in Josh Palmer, where this guy has Jordan Love with just Jaden Reed, needs wide receivers. Instead, he takes another tight end wherever it was. Like, what are we doing, guy? What are we doing here, guys? Some of this stuff right now is really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. But whatever. Can't keep complaining about it. It is what it is. At the end of the day, you want it. It is a good thing. We do want this nonsense. We do want these crazy clicks. It is a good thing. It is just frustrating. Wow. Yeah, I might even just not really care, or should I just should I stop at 2 tight ends? I don't think so. Do I just hope Trey Harris goes to the Patriots or something? Sanders goes. It's whatever. I don't really care about tight end at this point. Yeah, this is a frustrating draft. And then I was going to bring in Juwan Johnson to pair up with my Carr and Olave. So that would have made, a lot of sense, obviously. Double stack. New Orleans, where I'm trying to get a little bit more exposure to that because it should be relatively uncommon. And with just, again, the pace of that offense, I just want a little bit of that. And then obviously with JSN, I was going to bring in Darnold and then, probably Noah Fant, wide running or fucking tight end to, round out my tight end room sort of thing. Double stack Seattle again should be pretty low owned. So whether this team is going to advance or not is kind of irrelevant. Like that's not what I was building for. I was building for if it does advance, that's what I want is that low owned correlation in the playoff weeks and just see, if you can get lucky that way. Like that's the type of team that could win a tournament, if it's a low owned correlated, stack. So whatever. I mean, I have to bring in 3 tight ends. So yeah. I'll either take Butte or Tucker just to get some sort of correlation with May, Gino. I don't know. And then just take 2 tight ends to round it out. Like I would like a veteran. I guess I could take Chigakonkwo as a veteran tight end, but like I don't want 3 rookies tight ends, that's for sure. I really don't. But I'm not taking Juwan Johnson. Just 4th quarterback, yeah. 4-3-6-5. What a build. You can't make this stuff up. Do I want to let's take Tucker instead of Butte just to get some correlation. And then obviously I'm not taking Tommy Tremble, but he would be the only option realistically to pair up with Bryce Young. So I don't know. I'll take Chig just because he's a veteran. Theo Johnson's there, but I really don't want to be clicking him too much. And that's it really for a veteran tight end that I would feel comfortable with. Yeah, like if that's what you're going to max out and that's absolute max 50 points, not even mid 40s for Tommy Tremble, like I just can't click him. I suppose I could bring in Austin Hooper, who came back to New England. Honestly, it's not the worst thing. I might just do that. Let's just do Mayer and Hooper, I guess. Just try that. I mean, like Mayer is not worth clicking either, even though it is correlation. But I could bring in Austin Hooper. But I won't take him until he's my last click. So what rookie do I want? Let's bring in Hooper. And Mason Taylor. I'd like to be flat between Mason Taylor and my guy, Terrence Ferguson. So let's just go down that road. If someone wants to snipe Austin Hooper on me, be my guest. Be my guest. And then at least have double stack Drake May. I don't really think they bring in another tight end when they bring back Hooper and they have Hunter Henry there already. Let's just have that as our tight end room. I don't think they'll do that. I think Demario Douglas is relatively safe. We got Trey Tucker. Maybe Trey Harris goes to either New England or Vegas for whatever reason. He's not likely to go to Carolina. Yeah. Yuck. What a stupid team. What a silly, silly team. I'm going to keep an eye out for M Greek 33. This guy, I mean, I want to be in draft rooms with him, but at the same time, like if you're just blind zombie clicking buttons out there, like it's a fucking liability at the same time. Just make it make sense. We're going to take a look through his team. And Tough Cat, what are you doing? Adonai Mitchell at 72, 172. We're going to take a look at this team as well. So that's what I want to talk about after this draft. We're going to review. We'll take a look at Steven Hines' team because he's in the chat. We'll take a peek. And then we're going to look at some of these other teams and talk about what's going on in the best ball space right now in the rooms, in the draft rooms. Because it's not the first time I've seen it. This is a special kind of silly, to be honest. Maybe it's the time of night. I don't know. But yeah, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. That's for sure. It does not make very much sense whatsoever. So we'll take a look after the draft wraps up in a few picks here. If you're just popping in, if you don't mind, hit the like button. Appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you like the content. And you want to see a 12-hour live stream. All right. Let's see what this guy does. If you don't take another running back, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, you got to start two. You know that, right? Like, I don't know. Timeout and auto Rashawn Johnson. Okay, cool. Let's take Hooper. Weird click. Maybe Austin Hooper is going to be the guy you need. Fan speak. I assume that's Meg. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. I got bamboozled in this draft. It was pretty disgusting, as you can tell by me picking Austin Hooper. But we're going to go over in a second here. The draft rooms are really, really messed up. They're really wonky these days. But again, it's a positive and a negative. Ended up with Drake May, Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Saquon Barkley, Trevion Henderson, Najee Harris, Bashal Tutin, Jalen Warren, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Terry McLaurin, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave, Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris, Demario Douglas, Josh Palmer, Trey Tucker, Tyler Warren, Mason Taylor, and Austin Hooper. Not at all how I wanted this team to work out. Yeah, we'll take a look. We will take a look in 2 seconds here. Depends on if it kicks me out or not. Sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. But let's pull up Champ X here. Steven Hines in the chat. Jane Daniels was really hoping he'd fall to me, but that's fair. Bo Nix, I like that. Definitely stop at 2. I dig it. That makes sense. That's the way to go, I think. So well done there. And it did kick us out. Cool. We'll jump back in. Where'd you go? Right there. So yeah, good to stop at 2. That makes tons of sense. Chase Brown, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard. Mixon at a discount, I guess. I'm still personally not clicking them, but that's I can understand it. Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, DeAndre Swift, Justice Hill. I was having a thought about DeAndre Swift earlier today. I think it's like, obviously they are drafting a running back. That's for sure. I think it could be on the table if they draft more than one, the Bears, and they just kind of box out DeAndre Swift. I think that that's possible. Like, let's say they go out and draft like Judkins in the second and Bashal Tutin in the third, something like that, and then Swift is just dead. And that's also your like David Montgomery, poor man's Jahmyr Gibbs, sort of a combination for Ben Johnson. I think that's on the table. We know that Ben Johnson doesn't particularly like DeAndre Swift as a player, it seems. So yeah. I'm not super high on Swift right now, but I don't hate the click. considering if he doesn't get replaced in that manner, then he's still going to have a role. But they're going to bring in a running back. He's going to have competition, and his ADP will most likely fall from where it is right now. But this room would work. I don't mind it. It does. It is okay. I don't hate it. It does work. CeeDee Lamb, Ladd McConkey, Juwan Jennings, Quentin Johnston, Amari Cooper. I'm never clicking Amari Cooper personally. Alec Pierce, Jalen Tolbert, Devon Vele, and Elijah Moore. I think I would have done some different things. I would have brought in Evan Ingram when you had a chance. I would have pulled him up the board and brought him in. But we'll take a look at the board in a second. I mean, in a vacuum, this definitely works with Lamb and McConkey. It's interesting. You got 2 Chargers and 2 unstacked Dallas, right? Not that it can't work. Like, you're banking on the offense, obviously, which I don't mind. Like, that's a fine strategy. I think Tolbert could be completely replaced. Devon Vele could see his role, pull back with Evan Ingram coming in. Same thing with Mims, realistically. So, but you want to get some correlation. I get it with Bo Nix, so that's fine. Tucker Kraft, Freiermuth, and Strange. I like this a lot. That tight end room is really nice. Makes tons of sense. Got some value on Tucker Kraft because buddy you drafted Jordan Love didn't take him for God knows why. So we'll dig into that in a second. But this tight end room is really nice. But your wide receiver is definitely thin right out. Obviously, you went wide receiver. Took a bit of a hiatus, which is fine. Juwan Jennings is a fine third, but then it falls off after Quentin Johnston. Like, if Quentin Johnston was your 5th and you had another guy in here somewhere, that's probably what I would do at wide receiver, because then you're super thin from here on out. Like, Elijah Moore still hasn't signed yet, which is concerning. Amari Cooper still hasn't signed yet, which is very concerning. So, yeah. Tolbert could be replaced, but it could work. It could work in a nutshell. I'd like a little more correlation personally. So let's take a look at let's take a look at some of these other teams. Let's look at Tough Cat here. So just catching up, like the team. My team is not horrible, but it's not at all what I wanted to do. There's zero correlation, and my quarterbacks got sniped for no good reason. We're going to go over that and talk about these rooms and just what's going on right now. So I understand the Swift deal, but I'm just hoping draft 1 RB draft. Yeah, that's fine. It'll work. It's not a big deal. Tough Cat, CJ Stroud, Justin Fields, who I should have taken after what happened to me. So it is what it is. And then Anthony Richardson. I think Richardson should probably fall a little bit. He's certainly not guaranteed that starting spot. I think that they do want Anthony Richardson to win the starting, to be their starting quarterback. They obviously just want to put some pressure on him. So that's why they bring in Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones could come in and just outright win that job. So we'll see. They benched him last year, right? Supposedly that lit a fire under him. But I don't mind this texture in a quarterback room. I've done a lot of it myself where it's like Jordan Love, Fields, and Richardson, right? Because Fields is a starter, Stroud is a starter, and then Richardson, we'll see what happens. So I don't mind this, but, bringing them up is a whatever, I guess. Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson Jr., Tank Bigsby, and Braylon Allen. That's fine for him. Brings up Amon-Ra, which is interesting. I don't think you need to do that, I guess, if you think you're getting unique, but I would rather bring up Tyreek Hill personally, which I've done. I definitely have them paired. I just didn't take Amon-Ra at 4, but whatever. It's okay, I suppose. DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Rashee Rice, Adonai Mitchell, 22 picks ahead of ADP, makes less than no sense. Jack Bash, yeah, that's a good click. So I guess that works. It's just like, what did you do here? Did you accidentally auto-click? Or did you just feel like you had to bring up Adonai Mitchell? You don't need to pair him with anything when it's a rushing quarterback like that. So, yeah, whatever. Only 4 tight ends, pulls up Hunter Henry around ahead of ADP. I don't think you need to do that. Like, if you're going to take, I like the Barner click, I guess, but it just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you need to go that route. It's not the worst team. There was just some weird clicks in there. This guy's taking the cake. The old 4475. Can't say I have a build like that personally. So Meg, I was bringing in Derek Carr, but 45 picks ahead of his ADP. He goes naked for no reason. And then I was going to take Sam Darnold. Like if he gets sniped on me at 162, I guess, but make it make sense, which this guy did not. So that's certainly frustrating. And then brings in Sanders for no good reason. You really don't need him whatsoever. Derek Carr, Ramondre Stevenson, or Derek Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, Rico Dowdle is a horrible click, especially ahead of ADP. Awful stuff. Auto drafts, Roshan Johnson, whatever. Or maybe he didn't. I don't know. That's just not a good click either. So this guy's just walking dead. So that's fun. Nico Collins, Devontae Adams, Jameson Williams, Cortland Sutton, Jaden Reed, Ricky Pearsall, Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is a terrible click. Doesn't make any sense. There's just zero correlation. So that's cool. Travis Kelce ahead of ADP. Makes no sense, really. Dalton Kincaid, okay. Kate Otten, sure, that's fine. You got some value too. But then why Mike Gesicki? Why Noah Gray? 22 picks ahead of ADP. Noah Gray with Kelce. Like, this is one of the worst constructed teams I've ever seen, where roster construction means everything. Just make it make sense, man. So then looking at the board, like, it kind of fell off the rails here a little bit. So I probably should have gone with Jaylen Warren over Darnell Mooney. That would have been a click for me. I don't think I should have went Tyler Warren there. I should have went Mark Andrews now for sure, right? Drake May's fine. Traers is fine. Tootin's fine. But knowing what I know now after getting sniped, I should have taken Justin Fields there, right? I'm happy with that. And then for some reason, this guy just double taps my two quarterbacks naked and for zero reason, which makes no sense. So I should have had, like, Jalen Wright's fine there, but this should have been Sam Darnold instead of Bryce Young, and then it would have made a lot more sense. Gino wouldn't be on my team. I don't know what I would have done differently. It's just it's interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the rooms and how they just aren't making a lot of sense and how they're just so much softer right now. Now that a lot of the sharps and a lot of the heavy volume drafters have like maxed it out, or they're trying to slow down, or, one draft at a time sort of thing. I don't know, but like the rooms are softer, no questions asked. And there's even like badgeless guys who probably got their badge from drafting NBA or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just like, again, I say it all the time. Badges don't mean a goddamn thing. Like, just because you have a red badge doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean you know what you're doing. It doesn't mean you know how you're drafting. I expect more from badged drafters, but doesn't mean that you're always going to get what you expect. So, but then there's the like brainless zombies out there just clicking buttons that don't really know what they're doing, which is, again, you want that. You want that in your rooms. You really do. You want that variance, and you want that madness, and you want guys to fall where they shouldn't, right? Like Justin Fields should not be going 141. He shouldn't. He should be going higher than that. Bashal Tune typically goes higher than this, right? Not that I got crazy value on that, but like guys are falling and guys are getting risen up the board where it does not make sense. So again, you want that. I want this sort of stuff to happen. It's just really frustrating how it didn't work in my favor this draft. So you got the 12 hole goes Christian McCaffrey, Ashton Genty. Okay, cool. Not the end of that's a quality start. It's, dual running back, sure. Then Kyron Williams and James Cooks. You're starting 4 straight running backs. It's not exactly the greatest strategy. I mean, it could work, I suppose, but there's a lot of other clicks on the board there. And then to not click wide receiver until round 6, like that's a huge gap, huge gap. Jerry Jeudy is not a very good click in my opinion. And then you're down to Josh Jacobs, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Coker, and you got to bring Jalen Coker way up the board. like this running back room is in a really horrible spot. I do think there's a lot of value at wide receiver at the end of drafts, but this guy didn't exactly take advantage of it. So, and then, ends up with a pretty interesting quarterback room. Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence with Russell Wilson and Daniel Jones. Like, I don't know. And you brought them way up the board. So again, this is the stuff we want. This is the stuff I want. You want to see this stuff. You really do. But it's just frustrating when it kicks you in the nuts. So yeah, where did Ingram go? Right here. So Champ X, you got a lot of value on Tucker Kraft, but realistically, I think Evan Ingram is the click for you there. Like correlates with your Bo Nix, right? And realistically, Tucker Kraft and Evan Ingram are right there side by side for me in my head rankings, right? They're very, very similar. So that's what I would have done. Correlate my my quarterback. And then, yeah, if you need to bring in Vele, because this guy pulled up Troy Franklin, whatever. But I know Mims fell in this draft. So you could have ended up with Evan Ingram and Marvin Mims with your Bo Nix, which is fine. So stuff like that. It's just, it is what it is. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff. But again, you want it. Like you want this. I want this stuff. You want these drafters in your room. It's just really frustrating when it doesn't happen for you. Competitive rooms get the juices flowing. Yeah, competitive rooms, good competitive rooms are fun. You can kind of like predict what's going to happen. It's like, oh, he should draft this guy. Oh, he'll draft this guy. He's got this quarterback. He should correlate here. Boom, boom, boom. And then it does happen and it makes sense. And then you can kind of plan for what you want to do. So, that can be boring too. Like you do want to, get sniped on occasion, have to, scramble a back stack, whatever. So yeah, good competitive rooms definitely get the juices flowing. I definitely like that. And, the higher dollar value stuff, Ben, what's happening, by the way, bigger board, biggest board, right? I only have one more bullet in the biggest board and I'm going to not be streaming that because I want to try to get some kind of EV. And then I have two bigger boards. I probably will do one bigger on stream and then I'm going to do one off stream, but I'm not doing it tonight. We're going to wrap up here. So yeah, that's where you see typically the better drafting is in the bigger board and the higher dollar value stuff. Missed most of your draft and yelling at my team down the 12 spot is hurt. And yeah, the draft room in general has been pretty soft. I think all of the rooms are super soft right now. So again, I'm happy to have a ton of bullets. It's just frustrating when it kind of bites you in the ass and doesn't work out the way you kind of planned when you planned ahead for it. And then you get kicked in the nuts. But it's how she goes. It is what it is. We're going to wrap up for the night. I was off for a couple days there. My apologies, and a relatively short, still an hour and a half episode, but doing some dog sitting for a friend of mine. So I got a golden retriever puppy kicking around the house right now. So I'm going to go take her for a quick walk or something. And we'll be back on Saturday, not tomorrow night, but we'll be back Saturday during the day. Probably, I don't know, noonish my time, so 2 p.m. something like that, 1 p.m. maybe. We'll figure it out, but we'll be back. We'll rip a couple drafts, probably at least 2. So if you're just popping in, hit that subscribe button if you don't mind on the ticker. We're 35 away from 500. If we get there before the NFL draft, we'll do a 12-hour live stream. I want to do it in big board season, but I need bullets to draft. So hit that subscribe button for me if you don't mind. Like I always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Some of the guys were potentially not very correct tonight, but we'll see. Appreciate you guys coming out.